Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm the inspirational Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And remember, never be a tryhard, but always try hard.
Coming up, news on another departure from WWE.
We have a story on a potential WWE champion being forced to vacate their belt.
The latest news on the backstage heat for Lio Rush.
And WWE's original plans for Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens, and the WWE title.
This is the news.
So, story number one, and it is a pretty exciting one as always because we don't report on boring bollocks. This one is all about the WWE Network. And yesterday, of course, WWE's latest set of financial reports came out. Now, they were not the sunniest set. We saw declines in income, revenue, viewership, live event attendances, merchandise, all kinds of stuff. But one little interesting positive nugget in there was that WWE apparently plan on relaunching the network later this year. Now, George Barrios would talk about this on the earnings call that followed the reports, stating that while he couldn't really give up any specifics, WWE are looking to implement a bunch of features that a lot of people have been asking for a long time. And while he couldn't give a precise date as to when it would happen, the relaunch will go down sometime this year. So we can probably sit here and speculate as to what those might be, considering that stuff like this has been reported before. There was talk of a $15 price point at one point with all kinds of extra features, including indie wrestling content, fan contests, all kinds of stuff. Adam Wilborn, what do you reckon?
Look, I'm on mixed emotions about this because I think everyone's been sort of concerned about this price hike. $9.99 is a figure they've touted for ages. And for some people, it depends on whether they're going to have a tiered scale. That does seem to be the suggestion.
Yeah.
For some people, this is great. If you want more and more wrestling in your life, you'll be happy to pay a little bit extra. And for others, if you're just happy with what you've got now, that's good. But I think we do need a little bit of a revamp of the network. We've had it for quite a few years now, and it'd be nice to see some sort of development, some sort of improvement. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The thing is, the network is a wonderful resource. There is so much stuff on it, loads of incredible content. You could sit there and watch network stuff for the rest of your days and not run out of things to watch. There is an absolute pile of content. But there are some really basic things that are still wrong with it. I mean, the layout is kind of ugly. The search facility is absolutely pathetic. There's no way of, like, say you want to go and watch some incredible Bret Hart matches. If you type in his name, you're going to get a bunch of undercard nonsense from like episodes of Superstars and stuff. It'd be nice to have like more comprehensive, user-friendly experiences with that regard. So hopefully that's what Mr. Barrios is talking about. Personally, I have no use for things like fan contests and early access to tickets and so forth. But, you know, if the price point does go up to 15 and they add things like what we've just spoken about, that would be a good thing. It's good business, really, because some people can pay this amount and be happy with what they have if you want even more. The problem is if they start taking things that used to be on the $9.99 tier and throw them into the 15, that's when you're going to have a lot of issues with discontent and so forth. So let's just hope they don't do that. It's a very WWE thing to do, though, isn't it?
Can't wait for more episodes of Swerve.
Mint.
Moving on, let us know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Moving on though, another departure from WWE as Dean Malenko has quit as road agent for them. This has been reported by Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated. This sort of is in keeping with several backstage changes. It's different, obviously, with Arn Anderson getting released. We've had Road Dogg go on hiatus. But it appears, his role as a road agent is no longer going to be involved in WWE, at least. A lot of speculation he might be going to AEW. Yeah,
this is a cool one. Like, as Michael Hamflett in the WhatCulture office pointed out this morning, like, there's so much upheaval backstage with people like Road Dogg going on hiatus, Arn Anderson leaving, R.D. Evans is left. There's loads of other ones as well. It feels like nothing is really happening because there's no outward signs of like chaos or anything, but something is definitely going on.
Yeah.
Like, this is a strange set of upheaval, particularly from people like Anderson and Malenko who've been with the company for so long. Like, Malenko has been working backstage for ages. He was a road agent for the past 8 years, of course. Now, when you look at the original report, it does kind of say that AEW would be a good landing point for him, given that his, Malenko was a very technical wrestler and stuff. That might be more in line with AEW's philosophy. It does mention that apparently his biggest strengths as an agent were involving smaller wrestlers, which almost suggests that he's just kind of looked at a picture of Dean Malenko and going, hey, that's a short guy.
And tag wrestling.
Tag wrestling as well, yeah.
So, no need for that in WWE.
Yeah, I don't need that. So maybe the AEW thing is just putting two and two together. But by the same token, like, you know, we've seen AEW hoover up guys like Billy Gunn and Christopher Daniels to help out backstage. Dean Malenko is 58 years old. He has a wealth of experience. Very, very well-respected professional. I can see it happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've seen, obviously, with AEW picking up those guys, quite old school guys. And he'd be another great addition to the team, I think.
Brain Trust, yeah. There's already a wealth of knowledge there. Let's see if it expands. Anyway, speaking of veterans, although not quite on the same level, Jeff and Matt Hardy. They are currently the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, of course, but they've kind of been absent for the past few weeks since winning the belts against the Usos. This is down to an injury suffered by Jeff on a Wisconsin house show. He hurt one of his legs on the 20th of April. This has put their tag team title reign into doubt, unfortunately. So Dave Meltzer has reported that Jeff will have a decision made on what WWE, how they're going to progress with this thing sometime later this week. Now, there are two schools of thought currently doing the rounds backstage in WWE. Number one is that it's just a small knock and he should be able to work through it. And if that happens, there's obviously no need to really do anything. You can just come back to TV. The second is that unfortunately he has suffered a rather serious right knee injury. He'll need to go under the knife, and that will mean the end of the Hardy Boyz' latest reign, their first in 2 years, without it ever really getting going. That would be a big shame. Yeah,
it'd be very frustrating because it did seem, I remember writing about when the Hardy Boyz won the titles, about them not just necessarily holding these titles and passing them on to the next up-and-coming tag team on the blue brand at the next possible pay-per-view, but you know, bringing some prestige back to them. They've been a great set of tag team belts on SmackDown. We've looked at all the teams that have competed for them and really made them feel important compared to the Raw tag team titles, for example. And I was really hoping, we just get a bit of, we all bloody love a bit of nostalgia, a bit of that for a few months as we establish another team to take on the Hardy Boyz. But this would be a real shame. Fingers crossed it's not as serious as it's being reported. Yeah, absolutely, particularly given the lack of babyface tag teams on that brand. I mean, once you get the Hardy Boyz out of the way, who are we talking about here? Bloody Heavy Machinery? B-Team are on SmackDown now.
B-Team are on SmackDown now, so yeah, that's a thing. Cool.
Moving on though, let's talk about some more backstage heat for Lio Rush. It seems barely a week can go by without us mentioning this. Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer mentioned it yesterday. He said he still has internal heat. And Lio Rush has taken to Twitter to, well, put his side of the story across. He tweeted, the 24-year-old piece of gold that is,
piece of gold.
The fact of the matter is, no matter what you do in life, no matter what route you take, you'll always have people out there that'll try to tear you down, try to tell you that you can't be or do something, try to stomp on your name and halt your success. The fact of the matter is, he goes on to explain that he loves this business. He is a young, hungry and humble husband. He is a passionate African-American male in America who takes his passion seriously and will do whatever it takes to change his and his family's situation. He's overcome neglect, suicide, anxiety, depression and everything else at a very young age that a human of his current age should never have to go through. He's beaten all those demons, and you know, people say that he's arrogant, he's overconfident backstage, but you know, I'm inclined to agree with him.
It's one hell of a post, isn't it?
I think, you know, he concludes the fact of the matter is that you don't always know the facts, and that's okay. So he seems to suggest that some of these reports may not necessarily see the bigger picture, but it's really confusing because half the time you hear reports from WWE going, come on, have some belief in yourself. And then the moment someone comes in, I think Lio Rush is one of the best promos in the game at the moment. There's a reason why they put him with Bobby Lashley.
He's an annoying little toad. That's his job.
He's great at what he does. And, you know, if this was the Attitude Era, if you didn't have someone like that backstage, then they wouldn't be getting a push.
Honestly, I love that post that he's made there, because it's not just him going, screw the new cheats, they're all wrong and stuff. It's just basically him speaking up for himself, and like, this is kind of what wrestling used to be. These days, everyone's been so ground down that we just expect like this army of shrinking, shirking violets, whatever, backstage. It's good to hear him kind of come out like this, because like, well, look, Lio Rush has done some silly things. The whole Emma, I wasn't ready for Asuka, all that nonsense the other year, that was dumb. But he was also like 22 years old at the time, and people make mistakes and you've got to let them grow and so forth. So Dave's latest update in The Observer says something along the lines of Rush thinks that perhaps he should be a top guy on Raw, and he isn't shy of letting people know that. Now, whether or not that's true remains to be seen. You can judge yourself as to whether or not he has ideas above his station, but you've got to have a degree of confidence if you're going to succeed in anything. So good on him for speaking out. It's a really good Twitter post. It's not a groveling, sniveling little whine fest. Good on Lio Rush.
If you don't want to be champion, why are you here? Now, I'm not saying he's going to be champion, but at least have some confidence in yourself. He is a 24-year-old piece of gold, baby. And I think he deserves everything that he gets.
And not to drag this on and on, but look at where he is today compared to where he was 12 months ago. 12 months ago, he was in developmental limbo. He wasn't getting on NXT TV with any degree of regularity. And even then, he was being used primarily as a jobber. Today, he's Bobby Lashley's manager. He is about to become a focus star on 205 Live. I know it's 205 Live, but it's still technically main roster television.
Still counts.
Guy's doing really well for himself. He's 24 years old and he's already accomplished boatloads more than what 95% of people who step into that business ever will. So good for him, good response. Let's hope he keeps on pushing. Anyway, our final story of the day, and it's actually quite a big one. Kevin Owens, Kofi Kingston, they're probably going to wrestle for the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank. We saw Kevin Owens turn on Kofi on this week's episode of SmackDown in a brilliant angle. The match itself will probably be an absolute banger.
Yeah.
But this wasn't WWE's original plans. Apparently, before Daniel Bryan was injured at WrestleMania 35, they were going to do the immediate rematch of that instant classic match in New York at Money in the Bank. Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan too. Obviously, Bryan has been injured. That is no longer on the cards. There's more to this. After Bryan was injured, they were considering guys like Samoa Joe, Randy Orton. Those were the two main guys from SmackDown who they thought could step up and maybe feud for the WWE Championship. They even thought about going to Raw and drafting over Drew McIntyre or my man, Baron Corbin, as like a fill-in opponent. Ultimately, they went with Kevin Owens, and this led to WWE scrapping plans for a long babyface push for Kevin Owens following those everyman vignettes that we saw a few months ago. So Daniel Bryan's injury has had a massive impact on what they're writing. And knowing that, it's kind of amazing that the Kevin Owens stuff, or maybe it's not because he's so good.
Yeah.
But it's come off really well, and this is like a last-minute rewrite. This is impressive stuff.
Yeah, it's very good. So credit where it's due for WWE for pulling this out of the bag, because we saw those vignettes, and I always sat there and I always want to see Kevin Owens be a git. He's the best git on the roster, in my opinion. And yes, he maybe deserved a bit of a change of circumstance and maybe deserved a bit of a babyface run, I agree, but he's so talented. If you're looking around your roster and thinking, who can we suddenly hotshot into a title feud, he is your guy. And I know some people said, oh, maybe they should have continued the pally stuff with the New Day a bit longer. No, he got where he needed to be, he got in position, he gained their trust, and the moment where they least expected it, the moment when they were all distracted with Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev, boom, super kicked Kofi Kingston, ends up pop-up powerbombing Xavier Woods onto the apron. I think this is fantastic. I think also sort of arguably works in their favour, because it would have been weird to have Daniel Bryan challenge again for the WWE Championship, presumably lose, but then just not have him appear on the Saudi Arabia show, whereas with this injury, you can just take him away and then bring him back for a big feud a couple of months down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. It saves immediate rematch syndrome, which is a big problem even with WWE's most anticipated matches. It's been good content so far. I'm sure the match will absolutely rule, and they're a great mesh of characters. Kevin Owens is awesome, Kofi Kingston is awesome. This whole thing is really good. Wrestling's all right.
Let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE if you want to ask them. First question comes from The Fat Man on Twitter,
Legend,
who says WWE didn't put a celebrity in the Hall of Fame this year, but what are your thoughts on Andy Kaufman being an induction into the celebrity wing? Hashtag give him a push.
Should have been in there decades ago. Yeah. Absolutely should have been. The angle with Jerry Lawler is one of the most important in wrestling history. It's kind of absurd that he isn't already there, isn't it?
I think so. I think he'd be straight away even for me.
Him and Pitbull.
I'm not going to hear any complaints from me, the greatest artist of our generation. Next question today comes from Aditya Savant, who says, the way Ricochet lost clean to Bobby Roode, I guess WWE has cemented his place as a jobber and just don't see him as potential championship material. What do you think? Does Vince dislike high-flying wrestlers?
Ooh. I think there's a little bit of evidence to suggest that he may. I think jobber's a little bit too far. Like, it wasn't a jobbing, he just lost a match.
Yeah,
like,
it was competitive.
It was competitive. Like, a job is like 2 minutes done, no offense, you're just squashed. That's not really what this was. He just lost.
He was going to hit his finisher. Bobby Roode moved out of the way, shoved him into the ring post, hit a fantastic looking glorious DDT and won. So a decent back and forth there. I'd hit no complaints for a rematch on Raw next week.
They'll probably do that. You know, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the outcome. I think that if you wanted to give Bobby Roode a victory, you probably should have done it over someone else, because if you want to present Ricochet as a bigger deal, then having him lose at the moment is unideal, but I don't think it's any kind of grand disaster, and I think they can recover from it.
No, exactly, and they're just going to use him as the big flippy guy in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Anyway,
and he's going to come off great and be really over.
Yeah. Fantastic. Next question, final question today, comes from Superfly Slick Dick on Twitter.
What a name.
Who says, with this year's WrestleMania, where everyone we liked won the gold, and next year's WrestleMania is pirate themed, and pirates are known for being bad and taking the gold, I think the heels will win the gold at WrestleMania. What are your views?
Via pirate invasion. I'm all for that angle. Yeah, no, like our very own Adam Nicholas has pointed this out on several videos and stuff. Yeah, get used to like several more years of WWE just taking away all the nice things after what happened at WrestleMania 35, because that's gonna happen, baby.
Yeah, we have to eat a lot of crap over the next few years.
Yeah, we certainly are. He's given us what we want. That will do for the next half decade, and until then, it's gonna be all kinds of poop. Although maybe they'll give Baron Corbin the big belt for 5 years.
I think I quite like it. Not necessarily a good direct opposite of this year's WrestleMania, but you do need some heels winning.
Yes.
Arguably at next year's WrestleMania. You need Kairi Sane involved in almost everything, and most importantly of all, forget everything else, Paul Burchill hosting WrestleMania 36.
I get it.
He's invested in this. He's cashed his chips in now.
Remember when they were going to do an incest angle with him and his sister?
Well, let's move on to today's and finally, and something that actually got sent to me last week, but I didn't get to mention it because I was away on my stag do. And I want to mention Tom Wells, who sent me this photo from SmackDown a week or two ago. Have you seen this?
Oh, I have seen
With
this.
This is the news sign
Right
on
there.
SmackDown Live. We've made it.
We're over now, I guess.
We have made it. Thank you so much to Tom Wells for sending that to us. And whoever made that sign, please tweet at me so I can send you thanks. All we need now is a push sign
God.
on WWE.
Push to zero.
Just make it happen. Look how happy it'd make you. Just do it.
I'm
Or just a big
so happy.
a photo, an image of you and Baron Corbin, just best mates.
Me and my pal, Big Baron, we already kind of look alike.
Yeah.
You see me at a wedding, I wear his ring attire.
So yeah, any future signs you're taking to WWE shows, send them to us and we will lavish you with praise. Let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and send us Twitter questions at WhatCultureWWE. Whilst you're there on Twitter, you can follow both of us. You can follow him at
Andy H. Murray. I don't know what the H stands for today. You can decide.
Happy Friday.
Good.
You can follow me at Adam Wilwood. You can follow us all, as I said, at WhatCultureWWE. My thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.